let you all feast your eyes on that pretty thumbnail that I made today while I get our stream set up.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
This is the advantage to watching our show live, is you get a little, behind the scenes look at how bad we are at producing a show.
Is this really behind the scenes, or is it just bonus footage?
Yeah, I think it's just bonus footage.
Like if this were a DVD or a Blu-ray, this would be like the director's commentary.
Have you seen Taika Waititi's commentary of Thor?
No, but it sounds absolutely glorious.
Thor Ragnarok. It's really funny, and I'll show it to you later.
Mm-hmm.
Frankie says first. Indeed.
Congratulations.
I think we're good to go.
Yep.
Let's go. Almost match pitch there. For a second. Welcome back to Jedi Enclave. I'm Daniel.
I'm Chris.
And we are the hosts, of course, of the Jedi Enclave presents the Now This Is Podcasting podcast, a regular podcast every Wednesday at 6 Central, where we talk about Star Wars and other nerdy things like comic book movies and things that... Oh, you know what I forgot to do while we were eating dinner tonight? There was a new trailer for Rebel Moon.
Oh.
Zack Snyder's Star Wars knockoff, which I don't know how much exactly I care about it, but I saw that there was a trailer and I forgot to watch it. Maybe we'll do that during Battlefront.
Anyway, this week none of that shit matters because
we're only talking about
Star Wars.
Yeah, we're only talking about one thing today because there is Star Wars news. None of it is really that important. Like the important thing was that Ahsoka had its 2-episode premiere last night, and we're probably going to need as much time as we have today to talk about that. So
it was girthy. Yeah.
So stick around. We'll do like a 5-minute spoiler-free review at the beginning, and then we'll get into spoilers. Time codes. There won't be very many for this one today. Will be in the description if you're watching this on YouTube as a part of our regular podcast. Which, by the way, go check us out on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook Live. We're on TikTok. There's a Discord link. All of those links are in the description of this video. So go check that out. Make sure you click like and subscribe and share the stream. And then if you're interested in getting updates on when we're live and when we do things, there are various ways to do that on different... You all know how to use social media. Yeah. Okay, I'm not your mother. Thank you to Connor at the Star Wars Hub and Star Wars Veritas. He's our friend, and we love him. Go check his stuff out on Facebook, especially if you're really tired of just like real shitty, stupid Star Wars is woke bullshit, which I am very much tired of. After this, at 7, we're gonna do some Battlefront with the boys at Gremlin Squad, where the conversation about Ahsoka will continue because, like, there's a lot of shit, and like the more, like when I was going through the episode, I was watching the episode the second time today, taking notes and everything. Like I just started having all these questions and shit, and started doing some research, and it's like they might actually be setting up some real mysteries. So let's do a. Oh, by the way, this is a live stream, so when it makes sense, I'll take a look at the chat and
we'll just answer your questions.
Yeah, answer them when it makes sense. Okay, so Ahsoka premiered yesterday.
Yes,
it was a big fucking deal. We were planning on it being on Wednesday, but they're like, no, we're gonna do it on Tuesdays. And so we were like, well, what are we gonna fucking do? It turns out that this is probably better.
Because it means more people have a chance to actually watch it before we spoil the shit out of it.
Which means if you're here now, I mean, we're going to spoil it. Not right now. Let's do a quick, like, spoiler-free assessment, right? Review. I don't know why I had to think so hard about that word.
I have 2 initial thoughts.
Okay.
Number 1, the aesthetic of this show is incredibly Japanese in a way that Star Wars rarely is.
Yeah.
Like, so many little details in Ahsoka's costume. Yeah. So much in the music. Like, a lot of little touches lean very heavily into that samurai aesthetic. Yeah. Number 2, the music is incredible.
It was really weird. I was reading some reviews for Ahsoka because, like, some people saw it early, and there were reviews a few days before it came out. And, like, the thing that kept showing up in their reviews was, oh my God, the music is amazing. And that's generally not something that shows up in reviews because people are usually a little ignorant about like the score, like they like it or they don't. It's not like everyone's like, oh my God, that was so amazing.
Sure.
It turns out that Kevin Kiner did a fucking bang up job on this show with the music. And if you don't know who he is,
he's done all the previous cartoons. So Clone Wars, Bad Batch, Rebels. Yeah. He did music for all those.
I tell you what makes the difference is that in all the animated shows, all of the music that he writes are performed by virtual instruments, and the music is good. But the sound of it isn't great.
The composition.
Right.
It's just that the performance is robotic because it is.
Yeah, robots. And it sounds a little bit like a video game, which is fine. It's just because that's what it is, and it's cheaper to produce it that way. They hired real musicians to do the music for the show. You can tell it sounds amazing, and I think like 4 different times throughout my notes, I'm like, oh my god, this music is so fucking cool.
Yeah.
The VFX look way more polished and put together than Kenobi or parts of The Mandalorian, and it like I would be interested to know which parts of these were filmed on location, and they surely used the volume.
Definitely,
like some of the places where the story takes place, it would make sense to do it there, right? But I would bet that there are places too that maybe were filmed on location. All of it looks very, very good. I was talking to my partner John last night after we watched the second episode, that there's in Kenobi, there's that episode where they go to the Inquisitor Fortress to rescue little baby Leia, right? And they get caught, because of course they do. And those air speeders like show up to save the day. And how crunchy and janky the VFX look. It was like really distracting and kind of weird. There were several action sequences that relied on VFX very heavily, and it looked fantastic. It looked polished and so amazing. And it's visually, with the exception of Andor, because they didn't rely on a lot of that stuff in Andor. A lot of it was organic things happening on the ground, and there'll be a TIE fighter every once in a while, and with the exception of that one episode with that crazy stellar phenomenon that happened, a lot of it is just like
it was filmed on location. We went to actual places in Ireland or England or whatever, and just put up cameras and had actors act.
I've seen people say that this is the best Star Wars show, period. It's too early for me to say whether or not I like it more than Andor, because I loved Andor. Like I really loved it. And I really loved the second season of Mandalorian. So I'm going to wait until it's finished before I make a proclamation like that, because they might fumble it at the end. I hope they don't. I'm not saying that they will, but it's possible. I don't want to, put myself on the spot. I think so far
it is extremely good. I also want to take a moment to just mention the actors in general as something I really enjoy. All the actors who are recasting as characters from like Rebels and whatnot, they're all doing fantastic. Our new mysterious red lightsaber people. I want to shout out the apprentice in particular. Like that actress does she does an incredible job of just having this intensity in her face and her body that really
she doesn't fuck around. Also the first episode was dedicated to Ray Stevenson, who of course died not too long ago, and it's now that I've seen him like his full role in the first couple of episodes, like the dude did a great fucking job, and it's so good. And the fan reception for so on Rotten Tomatoes, it's been doing really well. The tomato and audience score are around the same, and the chatter that I've seen on social media has been about the same, where if you go into the comment section of a Star Wars thing, usually what you're going to see is a bunch of people bitching about Kathleen Kennedy or whatever. People are really excited about this show. The ones that haven't been excited, their problem with the show so far, at least what I've read, which is admittedly like not a very big sample, is that all the characters are women.
Oh no.
And it's I actually thought it was really funny that like one of the two dudes in the first episode dies in the first like couple minutes, and so I'm like, it's gonna piss somebody off.
Girls, get it done. Get over it.
And you know what? It's all of them are great actors. Their characters are used well, and they have the beginnings of character arcs that make sense. And so I haven't. It's not like I don't get upset by stuff like that. Like, they're cool characters. I like them, and whether or not they're female is really kind of immaterial to me, just so long as it's represented. So, anything else you have about that?
No, I think that's about
it. Yeah, I want to get into spoilers because I don't know how much time.
We have a lot to get through.
So if we are getting into this, I'm going to do episode 1. You're going to do episode 2. We are going to spoil everything, and there's quite a bit actually in this to spoil. They're laying some groundwork for some mysteries in Star Wars, and I think they're going to get into some lore that they haven't really got into yet. So if you've not seen it yet and you want to go in like a virgin, all shiny and new, go watch it and come back. And then I think when we're at the end, we'll read some chats, and also some folks responded on Facebook to a post with their general thoughts and theories, and we'll probably read through some of those. So this is Ahsoka episode 1, Master and Apprentice. Episode 2, it's called Toil and Trouble, which is like a Shakespeare thing, which I think is really funny actually.
Bubble, toil and trouble.
Yeah, everyone always knows that as the thing from Macbeth. The first thing I know it from, first of all, is Hocus Pocus.
Okay.
And then the second is John Williams, for the second Harry Potter movie, did a little goofy piece with those lyrics that the school choir sings. And it's goofy and weird and very John Williams. And so whenever I see those words, I hear the song in my head. Maybe we'll play that during the live stream. I'll show it to you, the Battlefront live stream. So we open up on a red Star Wars title card. And then we get some red text crawl with like some of Kevin Kiner's really cool music. It's a little bit of strings melody, lots of drums, and it is like literally the beginning of a Kurosawa film, right? Where they tell you how everything is and how delicate the balance is, and how there's one person roaming around trying to do the thing, and it kind of connects to what you were saying in our spoiler-free review about this being a giant homage to classic samurai film. And I don't know how anyone didn't think to marry that with Star Wars in the first place, because it works out so well.
George Lucas stole half the idea for the Jedi from Samurai anyway.
So it makes total sense. It's a very natural pairing. It's like fucking good food with good wine. So the texts get us caught up with what's going on in the galaxy, right?
More or less, the Emperor's dead.
Empire's fallen. New Republic has risen. They got some real bad dudes out there trying to fuck everything up. There's a plot to find Thrawn, who may or may not be dead. He's going to reunite the Empire and start another war.
And by the way, Ahsoka Tano is running around the galaxy doing things.
Right. She caught Morgan Elsbeth, which we know because we saw Mandalorian Season 2. And she learned about a secret map that the bad guys are looking for, and Morgan Elsbeth is being transported to her trial. Now, since we saw Mandalorian Season 3, you'd think that they'd stop transporting prisoners with one ship.
Has any criminal in the New Republic actually
made it to their trial? I don't think so.
I don't think they have.
So a New Republic ship enters frame, and I was talking to John about this, that even as a man in my mid-30s, there's something about seeing live-action Star Wars with a ship coming into frame that just gives me a huge dopamine hit, and it's just it had a big fucking grin the whole time, because there's something so Star Wars about it, and there are ships that we're really familiar with because we're like right after Return of the Jedi. So also the music is fucking great. Like, it's the introduction of the ship and everything. As we get into the action scene, he scores the upcoming action scene in a way that I would not have expected. That was very, very cool. So the captain of this ship is on the bridge, and he's hanging out in his bridge crew. He's like doing
he's doing captain things.
Yeah, he's like turning his chair around and shit. And his nav droid is like, "Hey, there's a ship that just entered the sector, and it isn't the ship we're expecting." Which is Home 1, by the way.
Yes.
Which is for anyone,
Admiral Akbar's ship from the Battle of Endor.
Right. So the captain's like, red alert, and
do we do that here?
Yeah, yeah. Get them on the phone and see what they want. And so his comms officer is like, okay, so here's something interesting.
Don't freak out.
They're Jedi, and they're transmitting an older code server that checks out. Yeah. They want to talk to our prisoner. And the captain's like, yeah, that's a load of bullshit. But let them dock. I'm going to go down there and embarrass them while I uncover that they're Imperial sympathizers. And the first mate...
such a terrible idea, by the way.
The first mate's like, maybe we should just blow them up. And he's like, no, let them on the ship where they can do the maximum amount of damage if we're unable to fight them. Mm-hmm. And she's like...
We got to put ourselves into laser sword range.
So the ship pulls in. It's the same shot composition as the Falcon entering the Death Star in episode 4, by the way. The captain and like a full security detail go down there to meet them while they're landing. And fucking landing ramp comes down. There's the steam and shit. And it's like, you know that they're bad guys. Like, this is how you know they're bad guys. The thing comes down and there's steam.
Their ship looks exactly like the fucking Lambda shuttles that Vader and the Emperor rode.
So 2 figures disembark. They're wearing Jedi robes. They're a little darker than normal. They're not like that like rough hewn brown
and tan.
Right. Yeah, they're darker. Again, in my notes, I have, oh my fucking god, this music. Mm-hmm. This tall dude with this killer fucking beard and this younger woman, and they are Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati, who are both named after characters in Norse mythology, who are 2 wolves who are chasing the sun and the moon. Huh. And when Ragnarok happens, they catch him, right? Probably a little bit of a hint of what ends up going on with
Who
him.
knows?
So Baylan Skoll is like, hey, thanks for letting us land without any problems. Mm-hmm. Like, we're a little surprised you let us do that.
Because it's kind of suspicious.
Yeah. We're going to go see that prisoner now. No need to follow us or watch what we're doing. Mm-hmm. We're Jedi.
We're completely trustworthy.
Let us handle this. And he like stops him with his hand. The captain's like, stop. And he like looks down at his hand and he's like, I'll allow this for right now.
I could kill you with your own hand right now.
With a thought, yeah. The captain's like, okay, cut the bullshit. You're not Jedi. You're Imperials trying to put on a show. Droid, come over here and scan their identification. And Baylan's like, oh, you need to see our identification. And Shin Hati pulls out a lightsaber and starts cutting everyone down. Mm-hmm. And it's cool, and it's lightsabers, and that's all you needed for me to be on board for this. She takes out the entire security detail. Now the captain like tries to pull out his pistol to draw on her, and he just uses the Force. He's like, "No, you're not doing that. No. Put that down." And he's like, "You were right about one thing. The negotiation. Oh wait, hold on. That's a different movie. We are not Jedi." And fucking skewers him with a lightsaber. Mm-hmm. And he's like, "Yeah, we're not Jedi." And the captain's like, "I knew it," and he dies. So on the bridge, the first officer is getting security reports of the attack, and
she's like, "God damn it, I knew this was gonna happen."
Right, and they're going to the detention level, and like one of the bridge officers hands her a gun. She's like, "You're gonna need this, dude." So, we're probably fucked. By the way, she's like, "How many targets are there?" And the guy in the comm says 2, but they've split up. And she's like, "Oh shit!" And like turns around, and the door opens, and there's Shin, and she just starts killing everybody. Mm-hmm. That's what she does. They're both very good fighters. Yeah. Good for them. So she shows up, kills everyone. Baylan Skoll is having his hallway scene in a different part of the ship, right? He's so big.
He's built like a fucking brick.
Yeah. It's terrifying. And there's something...
has the physique of a refrigerator.
Yeah. And there's something about how he moves. There is no ornamentation in his movements. Yeah. It is just no nonsense. Like there aren't any fancy twirls. He doesn't like flourish his lightsaber. He's just cutting people down.
Very practical.
Yes. The music here is really cool because you would expect some kind of Hans Zimmer horns and dread brass sections and shit. And it's just strings and a solo piano. And it's like, that's pretty fucking cool. Like a really good expectation subversion because even John Williams probably would have put a little bit of crazy in that. So he gets to a cell and he opens it up and it's Morgan Elsbeth's cell. And he opens it. She's like, you're pretty short for a stormtrooper. And he's like, I don't get
I'm not even wearing the armor. Yeah. What are we doing here, lady?
I don't get it. And she's like, you wouldn't.
Just take my fucking handcuffs off.
you're true to your word. And he's like, I mean, yeah, you pay for my word, you get my word. So let's make like a tree and get the fuck out of here. And he takes her bindings off. I like that he does a little hand shape that's like, yeah, and it made sense. Morgan Elsbeth is like, okay, they know about the map, and the Jedi that captured me is probably looking for it right now. And Balin's like, what Jedi? And she's like, Ahsoka Tano. And he's like, oh, fuck. And
bitch.
Yeah, and then a title card with some fucking great music. Again, Ahsoka's theme music from Rebels and Clone Wars. So, meanwhile, Ahsoka Tano is hanging out in the ruins of an ancient temple of some kind somewhere. There's lots of pillars.
Because if there's one thing the Star Wars galaxy has a ton of, it's ancient temples.
Right. There's like a giant statue of a big robed being, and like half their face is missing. She finds a spot that she likes, and like there's a big circle on the ground. She like kind of looks at it and she like wipes the dirt off of it, and she's like, oh, okay. And finds a spot that she likes and cuts her way through the floor, which, by the way, she does the most extra thing.
Puts her lightsabers in, spins them around with the Force.
Right. Not touching her lightsabers at all. It's like, she's like, okay, I'm just going to do the Yoda thing now because I get it. It looks real fucking badass. Yeah. She lands in a chamber with like etched murals on the wall. There are hooded figures holding like orbs and shit. On the floor, there are 3 small pillars coming out of the ground. And it's literally, in my notes, I have a puzzle from Jedi Fallen Order. And so...
Yeah, it reminded me half of...
The Zepho thing?
The planet with the big orbs and
the big balls. Yeah. Yep.
Like half that and half Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Yes, yeah. In fact, I almost put in my notes she was going to do a Lara Croft, but it's like, she's way cooler than Lara Croft. Yeah. So, she studies a little bit. She like looks around and is like, hold on. And then she starts fucking around with the pillars, and she solves the puzzle. Which, by the way, if they would have done the Jedi Fallen Order thing, she would have walked around in a circle like me in the game 7 or 8 times, and like, I wonder what this does. And some trial and error and shit. Yeah. Ahsoka doesn't need it. She just figures it out.
Because she's good at that.
Yeah, and she's like sensing it with the Force, and she's like turning it, and she's like, oh, that kind of makes sense. So everything locks into place. The orbs start glowing, and this thing rises out of the center of the room, and it's the star map, which is it's in this like column of weird volcanic ash that she just like kind of like scrapes away, and she's like, oh, here's another ball. These guys love balls. I don't know what it is. So she gets on her wrist comm and she calls Hu Yang, which is the Jedi lightsaber droid. She's like, I found the map. Let's leave and hit a McDonald's on the way out. And Hu Yang isn't like able to answer. Like he said something about them being jammed.
Yeah, communications are being broken up.
And so she's like, well, that's kind of weird.
Well, fuck, that means someone followed us here.
So she jumps out of the hole. And there's just, and this is so Kurosawa. She jumps out of the hole, lands, and there's just like a guy standing there. It's like it's not a guy, it's an HK assassin. Yeah. His fucking cape's like blowing in the wind and shit. And she's like, it's a little early to be kicking people's asses, but what are you doing here? And he like walks toward her, and she's like, all right, take another step and I will fuck you up. And he's like, give us the map. And Ahsoka's like, what do you mean us? And now she's surrounded by
like 5, 6 droids.
And she's like, do you have any idea how many droids I've killed in my life? And they don't care. They don't give a fuck how many droids she's killed. So she does this cool thing. It's this really smart fighting thing where she jumps back into the chamber that she was in and starts cutting the floor out from underneath the droids.
I want to mention something here, actually. Like her lightsabers, one of them is a little bit shorter than the other.
Yeah.
In Japanese sword fighting, samurai traditionally carried a long sword called the katana and a shorter sword called the wakizashi. And this is yet another instance of them leaning into that aesthetic.
Yes. Yeah, we also talked about her costume a little bit, about how her bicep and forearm wrappings are just the wrapping of a katana hilt and everything.
Like her boots have the big toe split toe, off.
Yeah. Yep. So she like takes out half of them into the chamber, and then she jumps back out and starts cutting them down, and then finally the droid's like, yeah, I'm tired of this.
Fuck it, we're just gonna blow ourselves up now.
Initiate self-destruct. And she gives this look like, oh fuck. And like my initial thing was like, okay, like she like is sprinting away.
Yes.
Like far away. And it's like, how big do you expect this explosion to be? So she starts running, and she calls Hu Yang, And she's like, where the fuck are you? And he's like, I'm right above your position.
I'll sit down, I'll pick you up, and we'll get McDonald's.
Let me just land and pick you up. And she's like, no, you cannot do that. Keep flying, put the ramp down, I'll just jump right on. And the bombs go off and create this insanely enormous explosion. Like, destroys the entire fucking area. It's like a nuclear blast. Yeah. It's crazy. So Ahsoka jumps on the ship and they get away. She goes to the cockpit and is like, where the fuck were you? And he's like, I was at a safe distance because what you were doing is fucking crazy. And she's like, you should have stayed close and maybe we wouldn't have lost communication. And he's like, I was following standard Jedi mission protocols. And she's like, yeah, it's stupid for a couple of reasons. A, the Jedi don't exist anymore. And B, I need someone to watch my back. And Huyang's like, no, you see, that's supposed to be your Padawan's job. And like does a little wink. And she just like kind of ignores him. And she's like, okay, good news, I found the map. And Huyang's like, how did you get Morgan Elsbeth to tell you the truth about where this fucking thing was? And she's like, not by following standard Jedi protocol. And he's like, did you torture that woman?
Did you break the Geneva Convention?
Yeah.
Like, should I be reporting you for war crimes or something?
So they get a call from Home One. There's been an incident. They need Ahsoka to come by and check it out. So they arrive where the attack happened in the first scene. And like the prison ship's been scuttled and is like floating there with shit like floating off of it.
It's not doing well.
Yeah. They land on Home One, which again is like some great Return of the Jedi nostalgia every time I see that ship. They have a scene a little bit later on in the briefing room that they have in the movie where, you know, Luke shows up and it's like, I'm back, bitches. So Hera meets Ahsoka on the ramp. Hera looks great, by the way, in live action. Totally buy it. The actor that plays Hera, I think, is married to Ewan McGregor, by the way. Oh. I'm pretty sure I'm right about that. I can't remember. Does a great job. So Ahsoka's like, Hera, you old green broad. And she's like, you can't just call people green broads. But also...
So I was like, you can call me an orange broad. It's fine.
Anyway, someone stole your prisoner. And Ahsoka's like, oh, God.
Do you have any idea how hard I worked to bring her in?
That's probably bad news. And she's like, follow me and I'll tell you about it. So they have a little briefing in the Home One briefing room, which is where they do the Death Star presentation in Return of the Jedi. Hera tells Ahsoka about everything that happened, and they've got like a little
picture of them. Yeah. So you ever seen these guys before?
Yeah. Who the fuck are these guys? And she's like, I don't know. I've never seen them before. And she's like, Huyang, like analyze their lightsabers and see if you can figure out who they are.
Huyang's like, yes, I thought you'd never ask. I fucking love lightsabers.
I know lightsabers very well. So Ahsoka's like, oh, hey, I got this star map. And Hera's like, okay, what does it do?
Where does it go?
And she's like, it's a map to Thrawn. And she's like, that's not true. That's impossible. And Ahsoka's like, yeah, it's true.
Search your feelings.
Yeah. Also, Morgan Elsbeth probably knows something. I don't know what it is. The secret's in this map. There's something real fucking weird going on here.
Yeah.
Like something's kind of brewing behind the scenes. I don't know what it is. And Hera's like, wait. If Thrawn's alive, does that mean that Ezra might still be out there? And Ahsoka's like, I mean, maybe.
I hope so.
Like, makes sense.
It'd be nice.
Hera's like, okay, well, let's take a look at the map. And she's like, I can't. It's locked and we don't know how to unlock it. And Hera's like, of course not. Fucking Jedi. And you complicate everything. Here's an idea. Go talk to Sabine. She can probably help you. And Ahsoka's like, yeah, Sabine and I aren't exactly friends at the moment. Yeah. And she's like, I don't fucking care. Go talk to her for Ezra. And she's like, okay.
All right, fine.
Meanwhile, on Lothal, they're celebrating the Empire's defeat. Governor Azadi, who's played by Clancy Brown, who, I think that's his name, right? Who voices that character in Rebels. Yeah, it's Clancy Brown. I want to make sure so ordinarily when I see this actor, I'm like, that's the bad guy because he's always the bad guy.
Yeah.
But he's not in this. He would have been a bad guy already, I think. So he's giving an address to everyone. And
yeah, fuck the Empire. We're free now.
Yeah.
And
they're dedicating a memorial, which is that mural from Rebels, which is like the drawing of all the guys. Sabine is supposed to be giving an address, and he introduces her, right?
Sabine Wren is here to give us a speech.
Yeah. And they do the trope.
Turns around and she's not there.
So he pulls the Senator Jai Kell, and he's like, fucking vamp. Like, you got to go find Sabine. Which, by the way, this character is also from Rebels. which is kind of neat. So like Azadi puts out like an APB on Sabine. He's like, bring her back here. She's giving that fucking speech. Sabine is racing on that super long road to nowhere.
Cruising down the highway on her speeder bike, not a care in the world.
Yeah. And it's that big road that leads to the old communications tower where Ezra used to live. And a couple of ships, which are E-Wings, try to stop her. And she like knows the pilots, where they're like, can you please stop? And she's like, no. And they're like, okay, we're gonna do the minimum effort to try to stop you, and then say we try to stop you.
So
Okay.
they just park one of the fighters in her way.
Yeah. And she's able to get under it, and they just let her go. They're like, okay, we tried.
All right, fine.
Yeah, we can say we tried.
Yeah.
Sabine comes home to her adorable Loth cat, which, by the way, I have in my notes, this is either a photoreal CG cat or it's an animatronic cat, and I can't tell which.
Yeah.
And that says a lot about our ability to do things with VFX.
Whatever they did with that cat is incredibly good effects work.
It wouldn't surprise me if it was entirely CG, but they make it like it's crazy. And equally as impressive if it's animatronic, because it's like a really good animatronic.
It's like
either way,
things.
Either way, it's like a win, right? So she opens an old box and pulls out a holo communicator, and it's an old message from Ezra, which must have been recorded like right before he and Thrawn disappear. And he's like, as a Jedi, sometimes we have to make the decision no one else can, which is like one of the things from the trailer.
Yeah.
Also, I have in my notes, did Ezra just friend zone Sabine? Because he's like, I always thought of you as a sister.
You're my sister.
Yeah. Which is funny because I always got the impression that he wanted to fuck her very badly. And there toward the end, she maybe wanted to fuck him back. And like, I thought maybe there's like a thing happening there. But he's like, I love you like a sister. And she's like, oh, God damn it. So back at the exploded temple, Baylan and Shin are hanging out with Morgan Elsbeth and an Inquisitor called Marok. She's like, a fucking nuclear blast went off here. What the hell happened? So Shin is like, what is this place? And Morgan Elsbeth says it's an ancient temple my ancestors, the Night Sisters, built. And Sabine's like, witch! You're a witch!
She's a witch! Burn her!
So Baylan's like, okay. So from what I can gather, on the very little evidence that's now here, the Jedi has the map or it was vaporized. And and Morgan Elsbeth is like, nah, she has it. Fate has decided our next move. Also, send your apprentice to Lothal. And she's like, walks off. And Shin's like, she's bossy as fuck. And a witch. Like, I don't trust her. And Baylan's like, do what she says. Ahsoka Tano's former apprentice lives there. Go find Sabine Wren. Yeah. And so she does that. Meanwhile, Sabine is having a bad dream. And it seems like it might be like a little premonition. Like she wakes up and says Ezra. And a button on her computer is beeping because Ahsoka has arrived in her ship. Which, by the way, the ship is an old Republic ship that Jedi you would use on missions and stuff. Which I think is kind of cool. She's just like, I'm just a Jedi now. I don't even have to hide it anymore. So Sabine goes into town and finds Ahsoka, and it's very awkward. It's very tense.
It's also awkward because the governor's there, and he's like,
he doesn't know what's happening.
Give that speech, and she's like, I thought it was tomorrow.
Sorry, I didn't know when it was. So Ahsoka's like, okay, here's the deal. I know there's a weird dynamic happening between us, but I found something that I think it means Ezra might still be alive. And Sabine's like, okay. I was gonna scream at you, but I mean that's the one way you could make me not scream at you. They go back to Ahsoka's ship. And she's like, so continuing on our conversation, like the whole Ezra thing, like, are you for real? And she's like, yeah, I mean, maybe. Our enemy definitely thinks Thrawn is out there, which is how I found this map on a planet called Arcana, where the witches of Dathomir used to hang out. And Sabine's like, witch! Fucking witches, man. Sabine takes a look at the orb, and she's like, have you tried turning the turny bits? And she's like, I'm not an artist, Sabine. Like, you have to do it. And Sabine's like, well, maybe I'll try twisting the twisty bits later. Like, was there a codex or something to translate it? And she's like, I don't know. Here's a scan that Huyang took. It's all I got. I wouldn't be here with you if I knew what to do, Sabine. God damn it. So Sabine puts the map down, and she's like, so where do you live nowadays? And she's like, on the ship. I live on the ship. And Sabine's like, that's a little trashy.
Kind of weird.
Yeah. Can you not find a place? What's the deal? And she's like,
Like, can you not find a landlord who will give you a lease?
Right.
Like, is your credit that bad?
Like, no one can afford to buy a house. I get that. But, like, don't you get tired of moving around all the time? And she's like, I go where I'm needed. And Sabine's like, yeah, that's bullshit. And looks at her like, you know. And there's a little bit of tension. And then Ahsoka's like, you can be an asshole sometimes, Sabine. And Sabine's like, yeah, well, I mean, fuck you, because you can be an asshole too sometimes, master. And she's like, there's nothing easy about being a Jedi. And Sabine says, I should have made a real fucking good Jedi then. And she's like, yeah, you should have. And they're like, they start to stare at each other a little bit, but Hugh Yang shows up and he's like, I have an update. And Ahsoka's like, Hugh Yang, shut the fuck up. And Sabine's like, Hugh Yang,
actually, no, Hugh Yang, please keep talking.
Do whatever you want. Live your fucking life, man. Also, I'm going to take this map. And Ahsoka's like, that's a bad idea.
No, you're not going to take the map.
Sabine's like, well, I need to consult my Lothcat, and I need somewhere where you're not because I can't hear over your voice. You irritate me, and she's like, no, the map stays here. Like, that's very dangerous. Anything could happen. Yes. For example, you could get jumped by a bunch of HK assassin droids, and it could be taken. You could get stabbed in the gut by a lightsaber.
A lot of things could happen out there.
So Ahsoka goes to see what Hugh Yang wanted. And Hugh Yang's like, wow, you guys aren't getting along. I'm sorry, you're getting reacquainted, I see.
So I was like, you have real talent for saying the obvious, jackass.
Yeah.
What do you got?
What do you want? And he's like, okay, I did an analysis on the lightsabers. You won't appreciate the amount of work I actually put into this. So I'll just say, this one belongs to Balin's skull, who disappeared at the end of the Clone Wars, and I don't know where the other one's from. And she's like, oh, okay, so there's like a master apprentice thing here. Yeah. And he's like, I mean, probably. So Ahsoka goes to tell Sabine what they learned, but Sabine has disappeared. And she's fucking riding back. Which, by the way, I've seen some criticism about some of the, like the first shot of Sabine riding on the highway. Like, she's listening to some like emo Star Wars punk.
Yeah.
And I don't hate it, because there's some diegetic music in Star Wars that isn't this, that sounds really neat, that isn't John Williams' score, right? You know, Jedi Rocks, for example. I know some people are kind of split over. I fucking love it. It's a great tune. In Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor, there are like, there's diegetic music that sounds really cool. In fact, you get in Jedi Survivor, you get a DJ in the bar, pretty much, a droid DJ who plays music, right? So, the second time she's flying down the highway, going back home, Shin Hati is just standing in the grass watching her drive by.
Just watching her go by, doing her best Darth Maul impression.
It is a shot-for-shot recreation of Darth Maul in the desert from Episode 1. Seriously, like, the way the shot is composed.
Yeah, I believe you.
Shows it from the front, shows it from the back. You got the floaty thing right there. She's got the fucking binoculars. So Sabine gets home. She walks in and is like, okay, Kitty, we have a mystery to solve.
Fucking put on the coffee. Yeah. We're going to be here a while.
Meanwhile, Ahsoka calls Hera just to complain about Sabine.
Oh my God, this bitch. I told her not to take the fucking map, and she took the fucking map.
Hera's like, look, she's a Mandalorian. You know how they are. Also, you guys have a weird history, and I'm sure your master fucking hated you. And Ahsoka's like, Anakin never really got to finish my training, and I left him like I left Sabine. And Hera's like, well, stop fucking leaving people. Problem solved. Stop calling me. See you later. So Sabine has been working on the map for a while now. She's made a little bit of progress. Like, she's got some, like, a couple things figured out, but she's not really close to an answer. And the Lothcat's like, twist the twisty bits. And it's like, oh, right.
It's a fucking Rubik's Cube. Yeah. Just spin it.
So she really just twists them a couple of times, and it works. Mm-hmm. And it projects this map of their local galaxy, and then another galaxy way the fuck over here, and a line to it.
Yes. And
she's like looking at it, and she's like trying to record all the shit that she sees. And on cue, she's attacked by one of the HK droids, while another one like runs in and is like, this is mine, and grabs it and runs away. It destroys all of her notes and like, oh, that's a computer. Fuck that computer, and like shoots it and shit.
Shoots everything, runs away.
So she like tries to fight him off, but the one with the map gets away. And so she runs back into the apartment and grabs Ezra's green lightsaber. She gets on the phone, is like, Hugh Yang, exactly what Ahsoka said was going to happen. Yeah, that's happening. and she chases the droid. She gets downstairs and she runs into Shin Hati, who's just standing there in like a pose. She's like, I thought you'd be coming down here. I took a second to like compose myself.
I just wanted to make sure that we had the right, Rubik's sphere here.
And they have a duel. Shin whoops her ass, stabs her through the gut, and they get away with the map.
Specifically stabs her in like the side of the gut, on like a kidney or something.
Yeah, like through the colon, probably.
It's not like the right through the middle where she might get the spine or something. Yeah.
So Ahsoka finds Sabine right before she loses consciousness, and the episode ends.
To Sabine's credit, even after she gets stabbed, she's like still swinging the lightsaber.
Yeah, she's
trying to get him. Like she's doing her best.
I will fucking get you. Real quick before we I want to read a couple of the chats. I need to make sure to cut this when I do the podcast. Jimmy says, makes more sense than Kenobi. That show broke a few canon things. I don't know if it broke canon things. There were things in it that I didn't love, though. One thing I can say is to understand the Ahsoka series, you have to watch the Clone Wars movie every season of the. I don't think I hate to be disagreeing a whole bunch. I think they've carefully crafted it so you don't have to be an expert on that kind of stuff and still kind of enjoy it. Clancy Brown, aka the voice of Krabs from SpongeBob, also one of the serial killer from the Dexter revival season, True Blood or whatever the fuck it is. He's great. Jared says, hello there.
Hello there.
All right, episode 2.
Episode 2 titled Toil and Trouble. Cue your John Williams thing.
We're going to listen to that later. and then you'll never have it out of your head.
Yeah. So we fade in like a white screen, and Ahsoka is standing in Sabine's hospital room and like using the Force to like listen to her dreams, and
it's like a psychometry thing, like Cal Kestis and you know.
Sabine's having a really bad dream, so Ahsoka's like, all right, just wake the fuck up. I don't want to listen to you anymore. Sabine's like, okay, look, don't get mad, but they took the map. And I kind of unlocked it before they did, so they kind of know what's going on.
I love this moment where Ahsoka like slowly closes her eyes and she's like,
"It's such a teacher thing. Like I want to scream at you, but I know."
It's like, remember when I had that conversation when I said if you took this thing, some HK droids were going to attack you, you're going to get stabbed through the gut, and everything was going to go to shit. Well, here the fuck we are.
So like, she's like, okay, so like there was this line connecting our galaxies. No, so I was like, okay, do you know where it starts? Did you keep any notes? And Sabine's like, that they kind of destroyed all my notes.
I tried to, and the dog ate it.
Yeah. Ahsoka's like, okay, I guess I'll have to go clean up your mess. And Sabine's like, I'll come with you. And Ahsoka's like, no, you've actually helped quite enough.
Yeah. What she said was, you've done enough. And I was like, damn, like, Jesus.
It's spicy.
Like, she has a hole through the gut. You don't have to put a hole through her heart, for fuck's sake.
So we go to this ominous planet with like gray skies and like red trees and stuff. It's really cool looking. Baylan and Shin's shuttle comes down and lands right next to this like weird stone circle. Like these
Space Stonehenge,
obviously carved stones that are standing in this circle.
Yeah, the first thing that I said when I was watching it with John last night was like, this kind of looks like the Seeing Stone from Tython.
Yeah, that was my first thought too.
Yeah.
So Baylan like walks up and like takes the map and like puts it on this little pedestal in the middle, and it like spins, and there's like the sound of some gears shifting and stuff. He's like, yes. Go call Morgan, tell her we found the thingy on Cetos. And the Shin goes off to do it, and then we get the title sequence with more cool music. So Ahsoka comes back out to the comm tower, and like she's walking around down outside the tower at ground level, and like she's hearing Sabine's fight through the Force and kind of.
This is what I thought you were describing earlier. This is the psychometry thing that Cal Kestis could do.
There's a shot for like stretching her fingers out to use the Force for this stuff.
She got that like kind of high look. She's like, oh yeah, okay.
So she goes up to Sabine's room, and like outside, like Sabine's cat is there kind of like hissing at things.
Not going inside, like I'm not going in there.
And Ahsoka just kind of like bends down like she's gonna pet the cat for a second, then just kind of looks at the cat, looks back in, gets up, and she walks in, and she like looks around, says, yeah, all the stuff's been blown up. She like touches the communicator with Ezra's message, and she kind of smiles for a second. And then an HK droid just drops from the ceiling and starts trying to attack.
It's in frame for a while.
Yeah.
Like it kind of like drops down from the ceiling, and it's really kind of creepy. And like the first time I saw it, the first time I watched it, like I saw something moving. And I was like, ew, what the fuck is happening? Yeah.
So it just cuts the droid's head off. It's like, Good.
She's totally ready for it. Yeah.
Like, I'm so glad you were here. Like, I was expecting this, and I'm still so happy.
Cuts the head off, fucking clanks to the ground.
So Ahsoka takes the head back to Sabine, and Sabine's like, okay, well, you know, the good thing about this type of droid is that they're very, very tough, so I can do some technobabble shit and, like, hook it up to a wire and, like, scan its memory core to find out where it came from.
Hook it up to my Raspberry Pi.
The only downside is that it might blow up.
And we're in a hospital. So
Hu Yang's like, you should definitely not do the thing that makes it blow up. Hera's like, you should definitely do it.
I like how Hu Yang's like, that's fucking stupid. Why would you do that? Oh, and Hera's on the on the call with him too.
Hera's on a hologram.
Yeah, she's like, I don't fucking care. I'm not even there.
Go ahead, do it. So Sabine does it, and like right before the droid's head is about to explode, she figures out that the droid came from Corellia, which is very suspicious because that's where New Republic shipyard is.
Yeah.
Like, it's supposed to be Republic territory, not Imperials or whoever the fuck is up to this.
I like how Hu Yang is like the voice of reason, is the one that pulls the plug before it explodes.
The adult in the room, yes. So Hera and Ahsoka are like, all right, we're going to Corellia. We'll get to the bottom of this. And Sabine's like, hey, I can go too. And Ahsoka's like, no, you need to stay here and you know, recover from being stabbed in the kidney. And also, I don't like you very much.
Yeah.
So before they go, Hera's like, Sabine, good job.
Yeah.
Like,
even though you actually kind of fucked this all up, but still, like, you tried.
Yeah, you fixed it.
Yeah.
Like, you and Ahsoka need each other more than you know. And Sabine's like, fucking tell her that.
Yeah.
And Sabine's like, Hera's like, no. Like, she'll figure it out.
Yeah. Also, I'm not your fucking marriage counselor. Figure this out.
Yeah.
Be an adult, Sabine.
So back on Cetos, Morgan arrives and looks at the map. Baylan says, this fucking stone circle, like, the Jedi never built this. Who the fuck did? Morgan's like, an ancient people from a distant galaxy.
Yeah. Which, first indication that there's some weird shit happening.
Yes. There's
because
something very strange going on.
There have been tons of weird species throughout canon and legends that people don't know very much about. They're very mysterious. Mm-hmm. None of them are from outside of the local galaxy. Because there's plenty of mysterious shit in the galaxy. So the fact that there's like some kind of race of people that are from a different galaxy, like maybe, I don't know, maybe you're not into space stuff. That is insane.
It's an incredibly far distance.
Yeah, it is. Even if you have faster than light travel, it is fucking insane that there's this connection to a galaxy, another fucking galaxy. Yeah.
So Morgan does some weird Force stuff and the map starts to flow and there's like some green fire underneath it.
Yeah, she does the Night Sister magic on it. She's like, ooh, witchy.
The map starts glowing and she's like, hey, you want to see something cool? And Baylan's like, I guess. So she like lines up the destination galaxy with one of the stones. Like the line comes out and connects them. And she's like, yeah.
Everything fucking.
So this is where we are. And over there, that is where Thrawn is. That's where we're going.
Yeah. I love like the look on Baylan and Shin when like all the shit's coming around them. They're like,
oh. I mean, it's like you're at the planetarium.
Yeah, it was exactly like the planetarium. Yeah.
So Baylan's like, oh, the pathway to Paradea. Morgan's like, yes, you've heard of it. And Baylan's like, yeah, it was a fucking fairy tale he told us at the Jedi Temple.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
It's not real, is it?
Like, don't get me wrong. As long as your checks keep cashing, I'm here.
Yeah.
But like, this seems kind of silly. Morgan's like, no, like, I know it's real. I can hear someone calling to me in the Force across space and time.
No, she said Thrawn was calling to
Thrawn.
her, which is insane also. We're going to talk about that toward the end.
There's some stuff going on here.
Yeah.
So she shuts the map down. It's like, all right, so the Eye of Sion is almost here. Like, we need to have it ready to go when it arrives. Baylan's like, don't worry about it. Merrick will get everything set up. So Morgan leaves. And Shin just kind of watches her go and then says to Baylan, so, like, when we find Thrawn, what's going to happen? And Baylan's like, well, it's going to start a war, first of all. For some people, it'll be a new beginning. And for us, it will be unlimited power. I think his actual thing is, like, power beyond anything you can imagine or something like that. Anyway, if I can go to Corellia, help Merrick with the thingy. So Ahsoka lands on Corellia and meets Hera, who is talking with Min Weaver, who's a supervisor for part of the shipyard.
It's Dr. Taub from House.
Yeah.
I fucking love that guy.
So Weaver's like, all right, so basically you guys didn't need to come here at all. Morgan's stuff has been redistributed among all the other Republic interests. Like, there's nothing shady going on here. Ahsoka's like, well, I'd like to see it anyway, just to make sure. And Weaver's like, oh man, my day is so fucking busy. You're going to back me up 7 different ways. This is terrible. Hera's like, well, I'm a general and I can make this really fucking bad for you if you don't want to cooperate. So like,
I will throw a fucking fit if you don't let us in.
Weaver's like, all right, fine. So like they load up on a speeder and they go driving through one of Morgan Elsbeth's old facilities. They used to make hyperspace cores for Star Destroyers here. Yeah. And now they're, dismantling them and using them for other New Republic ships. Most of Morgan's old workers are still here because like when you have a trained workforce, it is really hard to get rid of them and replace them. So like if you want to keep the business running, you kind of need to keep the workers. Yeah. Ahsoka and Hera are like, aren't you worried that some of them are Imperials and would be like loyal to the Empire? And Weaver's like, look, they're workers. Yeah. They don't care about politics. They're loyal to their paychecks.
Yeah, they need jobs.
Yeah, they're just fucking here.
Not everyone's a fucking idealist, yeah. Ahsoka.
Hera's like, well, what about you? And Weaver's like, I'm a businessman. I'm loyal to my investors.
I'm an American.
Yeah.
Profit.
America.
Yeah.
So Hera and Ahsoka just kind of like exchange side eyes with each other and
they're totally not buying it. They're like, this guy's full of shit. Yeah.
So they go, they keep riding and Hera's like, so Sabine, like she did a good job with the map, and Ahsoka's like, why the fuck are you talking to me about her?
No, she didn't. Literally, she's the reason that it got stolen. She's the reason we're here right now. What are you talking about? She did a good job.
Like, okay, look, I think you should take Sabine back as your apprentice. And Ahsoka's like, she's not ready.
Also, I didn't ask you about that.
Hera's like, how do you fucking know when she's ready? And Ahsoka's like, she'll know when she's ready, and I'll know when she's ready, and she'll know when I'm ready, and I'll know when I'm ready. So just fucking
and everyone will know that I know that she knows.
Yes. So back in the hospital, Sabine gets the bandage taken off, and she has this really gnarly scar. Hu Yang says, congratulations on being fully repaired. Also, hey, you have a cool lightsaber. This means like it's Ezra's lightsaber actually. And Hu Yang is like, yeah, it was, but he's kind of gone, so it's yours now. Congratulations. Have you been keeping up with your training? She's like, obviously not. I just got my ass kicked by some blonde broad with a lightsaber.
Yeah.
Like I can't really train if Ahsoka doesn't want to teach me, and like
he's like, that's a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah. She's like, motherfucker, Ahsoka quit on me. Like, she walked away. Hu Yang is like, tough titties, move on.
Yeah.
Like, Sabine's like, okay, answer me this. Did Ahsoka, like, was it Ahsoka's idea to bring the map to me and have me unlock it, or did Hera put her up to it? Hu Yang is like, it was Hera's idea, but Ahsoka agreed after Hera twisted her arm.
But no, she did not want to come
here.
No,
she really didn't. Sabine's like, well, fucking, what? Well, that tells you everything you need to know. Besides, I was never good with the Force. And Hu Yang is like, oh, yeah, you fucking sucked. Like, no argument here. Yeah. And Sabine's like, yeah, great.
I love how he does not try to flatter her.
No.
And this kind of answers a little bit of a question. She has some weird Force stuff going on, like her dream.
Yeah.
I appreciate the fact that they're not making her some, like, all of a sudden super leveled up Force user. Like, I'm perfectly fine with her being like, I can sometimes hear weird shit in the Force, but I cannot lift rocks or anything. Like, it's just not the thing I can do.
So Sabine is like, all right, great. Then I'm not going to waste Ahsoka's time. Hu Yang is like, well, really, you're only wasting your own time. Now fucking take this lightsaber and go cut a bitch.
Get off your ass and go do something, Sabine.
Back on Corellia, Weaver shows Ahsoka and Hera into the command center and is like, yeah, we do all this business stuff here. It's real great for business.
Business!
And Hera, like, looks out the window and says, is that a hyperspace core? And Weaver's like, why, yes, it is. And she's like, it's really fucking big.
That's the biggest hyperspace core I've ever seen. What the fuck does it go into?
He's like, yeah, it was originally meant for a super Star Destroyer. And Hera's like, the New Republic doesn't use anything that big. Like, why do you have this? Weaver's like, all right, just let me look it up.
This guy's such a dick.
Like, goes through his iPad, and he's like, yes, I figured it out. The answer is classified.
Yeah, which he knew from the fucking beginning.
Hera's like, bitch, I'm a fucking general. You fucking unclassify that right now.
If she would have had glasses on, she would have taken them off and been like, excuse me.
Weaver's like, all right, fine. Protocol droid, fucking get over here. Let's fucking unclassify this. Ahsoka's like, so I see you have protocol droids here. Do you have other droids? Like,
they're red, by the way, the color of bad guys.
Like, you wouldn't happen to have any assassin droids like in the broom closet here, would you? And Weaver's like, of course not. Proto Droid's like, actually, yes, I did see an assassin droid the other day. And Weaver's like, shut
the fuck up, dude. Which, by the way, you think it'd be really funny if like one of these guys had a golden arm and they're like, oh, you didn't recognize me because of the golden arm.
Anyway, so Ahsoka's like, okay, where is this assassin droid? And Proto Droid's like, actually, I think they're boarding that ship right over there.
He's right there. You're welcome.
Hera's like, all right, runs over to the communications. Like, okay, you need to fucking stop that ship right the fuck now. And the communications lady's like, I can't. It's cleared for launch. And Hera's like, fucking unclear it. Stop that ship. And she's like, I can't. And like,
my fingers don't work. I don't know what to do.
Hera's about to blow a fucking blood vessel when one of the dudes stands up, pulls a gun, yells, for the Empire, and starts shooting.
Immediately gets his shit wrecked.
Yes. Ahsoka and Hera just kill everyone in the room except for Weaver, who is like hiding behind the protocol droid. Yeah. And Ahsoka's like, all right, Hera, you go get your ship and like follow their ship. I'm going to jump out this window. Hera's like, you do you, girl.
Fucking Jedi.
Yep. So Ahsoka jumps out the window, like starts running down the platform. She's forced to stop when she's confronted by Merrick, the Inquisitor, and the assassin droid. So Hera and Chopper.
This guy is so fucking extra, by the way. His like, he just unclasps his fucking cape and it just like flies in the wind.
It's another one of those samurai movie touches.
Yeah.
So Hera and Chopper like start up their ship, the Phantom, and go chasing after the escaping transport. Ahsoka is now fighting with her two lightsabers and the Inquisitor and all that. Hera gets on the radio and is like, "Hey, fucking turn around, pull over. If I had sirens, they'd be going off right now.
Wee woo, pull over."
And the ship just starts shooting at her.
Yeah. She's like, why aren't they stopping? And like the cannon's like points. Like, oh, okay, we're doing this.
Right,
yeah,
this is what we're doing. So it's like, hey, Chopper, get ready to do the thing. And Chopper like complains about something.
There's a whole thing about him trying to find the tracker and shit. Yeah,
so, like he goes digging through his stuff and finds the little tracking.
Dave Filoni voices Chopper, by the way.
Oh yeah. So like she gets up close and like she doesn't want to shoot the ship down because like there'll be wreckage in the city and it would kill people.
Which, by the way, Chopper is like, just shoot it down. And she's like, I can't because it'll kill a bunch of people. And Chopper's like,
who the fuck cares?
Just do it.
So like they get up into orbit, and right before the transport's about to escape, Chopper like throws the tracking beacon, which there had to have been a more efficient way to do this. Like,
yeah, it's a little ridiculous because she does like a maneuver over it. And he like spins his arm up and everything, and then he look.
Speaking of extra,
I don't.
You don't like Chopper.
I don't get why people like him so much. I was watching a video about this episode today. I can't remember who it was, but they were talking about how it's the perfect comparison. In Parks and Rec, there's this like miniature donkey called Little Sebastian that everyone in Pawnee is like crazy about, and like the one guy who's not from Pawnee doesn't get it. He's like, I don't understand why people are so crazy. Yeah. And at the end, he just pretends like he's crazy about it. But he's like, I don't get it. I do not understand why everyone likes Chopper so much.
Oh well. Anyway, so Ahsoka is still fighting. Like she kills the droid, and the Inquisitor like turns on his other lightsaber blade, and
he's like, look, it spins.
Like they're fighting, and then he gets like a call on his wrist phone. He's like, okay, time to go. So he throws his lightsaber, and like Ahsoka has to dodge it, and they're running, and like Shin's ship comes down and shoots a whole bunch, and like the Inquisitor jumps onto the ramp.
It looks fantastic, by the way. The action looks so good.
And Ahsoka is just forced to just kind of watch as Merrick and Shin are standing on this ramp. And then like Merrick sticks his hand out and Ahsoka just kind of like turns.
Casually like, oh, immediately come back. I knew it was going to happen here.
Yeah, come on. So Ahsoka watches them fly away.
I fought in the Clone Wars, you son of a bitch.
Hera calls her and Ahsoka's like, please tell me you have good news. Hera's like, yeah, good news. Like we're tracking that ship. We'll know where the hyperspace core goes. Back on Lothal, Sabine goes home to the comm tower and starts pulling out all her old Beskar armor. Mm-hmm. And the last thing she pulls out is her helmet. And then she has this very very personal ceremony where she like puts the helmet down on this little almost altar raised thing. Like she has a knife next to it. She picks up the knife and like cuts her hair very ritually.
Also extremely samurai, which
very
also
symbolic, yeah.
Another samurai thing. I was like, she's not committing seppuku, is she?
No, of course not.
Because she lost her battle.
she wouldn't have pulled out the armor if she was doing that.
Yeah, she would have. Yeah, I mean, sure she would have.
Yeah, maybe.
That would have been a little dark for a kid show, I think.
Just a little bit.
That's ritualistic suicide, just in case anyone was wondering.
So Hera and Ahsoka are back in the port. They're watching Weaver get led away in handcuffs. And Hera's like, dude, how are all these people loyal to the Empire? Like, the Empire is fucking terrible.
The Empire sucks.
And Ahsoka's like, yeah, but they paid really fucking well. Yeah. So that's all these people care about. Hera's like, all right, look, Chopper is working on tracking that ship. I'll fucking call you when we figure it out. And Ahsoka's like, all right, cool. She goes back to her ship, and she has a voicemail. Well, that hologram mail. But she presses the button, and it's Sabine in her full armor, being like, I'm ready.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's fucking do this. And Ahsoka's like, fine, I fucking guess we're ready now. I guess that's what we're doing. So Sabine is back at the mural looking at things, and she reaches out and touches Ezra's face, and it's real touching. Ahsoka...
That's a funny joke you just told.
Yeah, thank you. So Ahsoka gets there, and she's like, hey, nice haircut. And Sabine's like, yeah, thanks, I did it myself.
Yeah. Did it COVID-19 style.
Huyang is like, oh yes, by the way, Hera called. We're going to Cetos in the Denab system. So they all get up and go up into orbit. And Ahsoka's like, all right, fucking, there's the hyperspace handle. Pull the lever, Padawan. Sabine's like, oh, we're doing this now. Okay.
Big eye roll.
Yeah. So back at Cetos, the Super Star Destroyer hyperspace core arrives. And there's this gigantic, like, ring-shaped
hyperspace
ship.
ring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which,
like from episode 2, the Jedi starfighters had those hyperspace rings. It's like that, yeah.
So this is the Eye of Sion. So Morgan is on the bridge of the Eye of Sion, and she calls Baylan and Shin. Is like, all right, look, we're almost ready. We just gotta get this last part installed, and then we can go fucking find Thrawn. It's gonna be great. Baylan's like, all right, sooner the better. Morgan's like, oh, what's wrong? Are you scared of Ahsoka? And Baylan's like, yes. In fact, I am scared of Ahsoka.
She's got 2 lightsabers. I only have 1.
I can't compete with that. Shin is like, look, dude, it's fine. We got away clean. There's no way Ahsoka could have possibly tracked us. There's no way that that an annoying little astromech droid could have thrown a tracking beacon that is magnetized to the top of the ship carrying the Super Star Destroyer hyperspace core. Yeah. There's no way.
Baylan totally just crosses his arms like, yeah, okay. I bet that's exactly what happened.
Baylan was like, look, Ahsoka's presence in the Force is very elusive, but her determination I can feel from a million miles away. Like, she is coming after us. And it's even worse because I don't know what direction she's coming from. Like, there's not a whole lot we can do here. Morgan is like, all right, then just fucking kill her. And Baylan's like, it's going to be a shame. There's so few Jedi left. And
I didn't say she wasn't cool.
Morgan's like, quit being so sentimental and go fucking kill her. Come on. Just fucking do it. So she hangs up, and that's the end of the episode.
Yeah. Okay, so I have a whole list of questions that we're going to move to the Battlefront segment. Yes. Okay. So we're going to reset here, go and play some Battlefront with our buddies. So if you have notifications set up, it'll tell you. It'll be here in the next couple of minutes. Yeah. So check us out on Facebook, Facebook Live, Twitch, and YouTube. And we hope to see you there. In the comments, put whatever you saw, whatever you thought. We're interested.
As well as your theories. Yeah. No matter how crackpot they are.
There are some